they would see. Now let me move on to the point we say Brutus, suddenly and unexpectedly withdrew the constitutional motion that he filed against the government. He named a whole set of people. The only thing he was the name was the police, the dog. He named everybody. He's suing them. And let me give you a quick time. Your background and the thing, you like to do the teaching. He withdraw the court matter. Remember what happened quickly? He ended up getting the investigated and the deny. It can say no investigation and no money lodge. Remember the tape? I ain't got time to show you all this morning. He said that there's no money lodge and no investigation. And then suddenly after investigation, because the money was large indeed. We're talking about the $16.4 million the police credit union. It was large. The evidence is there. All right. Once the investigation starts, they get the journalist friend who they say they make a thing says I had gone. I see the guy in the press association come out and criticizing the police for calling what they call a reporter or a journalist I had gone or something like that. All right. So they start to, but for say they're coming out to say Soku they had a fishing expedition. There's no evidence against Brutus. All kind of thing they started to say. All sort of thing. Then Brutus moved to the High Court for permission to leave the country because it is said that he had attempted to leave via Timeri Airport, that is Jagan International Airport, Timeri, and he was prevented from doing so. So he wanted to leave again. Perhaps they say he wanted to go and cut a record deal with Motong or one of those famous record companies. And the government, so he moved to the High Court and sought permission to leave the country. Well, by the time, who tell you do that? Because then the government opposed. And in the document opposing him from opposing his application, it was then revealed for the first time that he has 240 criminal cases pending. 240 cases. That is what was revealed in a court document. Now, even before that, the case was 2 Fridays ago, Brutus filed a constitutional motion in the High Court. Among the things he said is that there was political interference in this matter. He mentioned cabinet. He mentioned home affairs. He mentioned the acting commissioner. He mentioned public police service commission. He mentioned SOKU, so political interference in this thing. And he asked them to rule. He wanted the court to say that his removal from the admin position was unlawful, ultra virus. That's the removal done by Ikin, because he said Ikin was instructed by cabinet. That's why he said in the document, He said that he went there to brief Ikin about the goings on and special branch, because that was his position, head of special branch. And during the course of that interaction, Ikin received a phone call and he had to go to cabinet immediately. And Ikin advised him that he should wait until he returns. So he waited for some time, and when Ikin returned, Ikin told Brutus that Ikin has been instructed to send him on leave immediately. So he in his pleadings, he said that it's unlawful, it's unconstitutional, and all kind of thing. So he was tackling them. The SWAT people went to his house Wednesday night. SWAT and SOKU. They went to execute a search warrant, which was never executed according to him. And then he tell a lot of nonsense there about search warrant, only the person who named on the warrant. Nonsense. The only person who's named on a search warrant is the person who swore to the information. But there's nothing wrong with other persons going there to search. Right? We explained that a little while ago. So they went to search, they had search. That is Wednesday, Wednesday. They didn't search the place, neither did they arrest him. And therefore, the question will be asked, and I continue to ask the question, what was the purpose of them going there? Then we saw Thursday now, Brutus in court, fully dressed in uniform, all the media, the market, a lot of media attention, everybody there to greet him. But I know the greeting is also to see when he arrived. 30 charges were read to him. He was not required to plead because the charges are all indictable. We explained that to you again. Indictable charge, if it continues to be indictable, it means that the judge and jury has to decide on it. The magistrate conducts a preliminary inquiry. I don't know if the charges of this nature, you can have a paper committal. But as I know it, you get a preliminary inquiry where the magistrate go through the evidence to make a determination if a prima facie case has been made out. If the magistrate determines that a prima facie case has been made out, then the deposition is sent to the DPP for him to be committed, right? For him to be indicted, for the person to be indicted. Now, once you're indicted, you go up on one of the sessions and you judge and jury. That is an indictable charge. Now, if it is, there is what we call the Administration of Justice Act of 78, AJA, where indictable charges, some type of indictable charges, can be taken summarily. An application is made, and if the application is granted, then instead of the matter going to a preliminary inquiry and to go to judge and jury, the magistrate tries the case. So as it is, as far as I know, this matter is still an indictable, or all the matters are still indictable. I suspect at some stage they might make an application for the matters to be disposed of summarily. So once you go there and the information is sworn to, the magistrate will read the charge. Every charge has to be read. And the magistrate will say to the person, the accused, that the charges are indictable. You are not required to plead. So I understand that. So all of these charges would have been read to Brutus, and he was told that the charges are indictable. He is not required to plead. Right? So teaching you. So all right. So the question of bail came out, and you're put on bail on each charge. So the 30 amounted to $6.2 million bail. I hear a lot of runaround, a lot of bending back took place for him to get the bail on time so that he would not be remanded. Right? They even make representation for him to come back the next day, and the people said, no, if you can't find the money by this afternoon, remand. And I understand the people are very, very accommodating in that they work overtime for him to get bail. Animal farm, so all animals are equal, some are more equal than others. All right. So surprised to me, that I will tell you about these stores, Now Friday, let me put up this other slide. Do I have it? Did I prepare it? I'm not sure. Let me see. Let me see the other slide here now. One moment. No, I don't think it was prepared. Not this one. I'm sorry. There's another slide. I think I'm going to get to show it at some stage, where we learned that Brutus decided to withdraw this constitutional motion. Suddenly, his lawyers wrote to the Attorney General to say that we are discontinuing the constitutional motion against the Attorney General, the Minister of Home Affairs, the Police Service Commission, Soku, the acting commissioner, he withdrew. And the question is why? And having analyzed the timeline and the circumstances, I believe that the only reason that was filed, that is the conclusion I have come to, was to try to forestall the criminal charges. I remember one of the things he said, that this whole investigation was tainted by Soku. His lawyers even wrote to the DPP making a complaint. So I suspect that filing was intended to forestall the criminal charges being filed. But once the charges were filed, the man decided to chuck in. Man decided he didn't want pursuing this constitutional motion anymore. In addition to that, we heard the Vice President 2 Thursdays ago, 2 consecutive Thursdays, say he made statements about the whole thing. And then Thursday, he said, the government and frightened not need Brutus want to sing like sing. He could sing like Dalfos, he could sing like anybody. Let him sing. So he suddenly discontinued the charge. But I don't know. People ask if the deal is being cut or whatever. Charges are already before the court, and they have 210 more pending. So we're going to wait, and we're going to see how things are going to unfold. Mr. Conway, come in and take a little about it, right?
Yeah, I won't believe it was a bluff, When Brutus filed those constitutional matters, it was a bluff. that bluff so that he would not be charged. But now that he has been charged, he had no alternative than to withdraw that constitutional matter. And then when you really look at it, I remember the second vice president saying, "Hey, if Brutus wants, we gonna whistle too. We gonna talk and we gonna respond. And when we respond, what we respond to will not be complimentary to him." But getting back to the same issue with Brutus, Brutus could not have done that thing all on his own. People had to be complicit. People had to be compromised. The checks and balances were even they were there. They didn't put them into action. People. Yeah, the whole thing is so mind-boggling that there were no checks and balances. What about the banks? What about the financial intelligence unit? What about all those people there? Nobody inactivate. And then a big question I want to ask: what triggered Brutus to go to court? Did anybody tell him he had to go to court? Were charges was he told about the charges before he got there that is alleged that he was, and was he cautioned? Because according to the judge's rule, it said as long as you got enough, as long as you have evidence which will cause you to suspect that somebody has committed an offense, you have to caution them. As long as you have evidence which will cause you to suspect that the person has committed an offense, you need to caution them. You are not obliged to say anything unless you wish to do so. But whatever you say, maybe put down in writing, taking in writing, and giving in evidence. Full stop. So was he cautioned? Were the individual allegations put to him? All those are things that we need to know. And I'm saying, what triggered Brutus going to court? Who would tell him he had to go to court? And even down to so, why wasn't he escorted to court? Why he had to go in the police uniform? So many things that went wrong there. And I'm making the point that the constitutional matters that he brought before the court was a bluff, and it was intended, as you indicated, for him not to be charged.
Well, let me call it bluff. Let me call it bluff and put the third tip on it with a possibility of 210 more to come. But the slide I was telling you all, this is the slide. Look at it here. This is a slide. Breaking news. Assistant Police Commissioner. I got to tell these people to know, he's not Assistant Police Commissioner. He's Assistant Commissioner of Police. All these reporters on the papers and all these people making the same mistake, the rank is Assistant Commissioner. So when you write, he's supposed to be Assistant Commissioner of Police, not Assistant Police Commissioner. Right? So please and thank you. Now, here what the things here. Assistant Police Commissioner Calvin Brutus has discontinued his High Court challenge against the Attorney General, Minister of Home Affairs, Police Service Commission, Acting Police Commissioner, and the Special Organized Crime Unit. The embattled policeman had moved to the High Court to challenge the decision to send him on leave and allow for an investigation into the alleged financial crimes. So that is the slide there that I was looking for a while ago. I see here, Brutus withdraws High Court case against government and police force over the Soku probe. Right? So, thanks for sharing. I see the numbers mounting. But keep sharing, man. Keep sharing. Keep sharing. We have something more to discuss. Now, let me tell you this. First of all, Mr. Conway alluded to it. What happened to the oversight? When I look to see the allegation, mind you, as to what Brutus did at the Police Consumers Co-op Society. At the Police Consumers, where it is said, hold on, let me find it. And I hope that it's not you can write this thing, because if you look at today's Starbrook News, the editorial, they're claiming that thirdly, there's a force, the first, it was alleged that on the 16th of November, let me read back from the first. Let me read back. They're saying that he was charged with two counts of conspiracy to commit felony obtained by false pretense. In a separate charge on Danica Alder, his wife, was made to answer 2 counts of money laundering. They were not required to plead and were placed on $1 million. Additionally, Mr. Brutus was then charged with 21 counts of liability of an official. Under the Fiscal Management and Accountability Act, he was not required to those charges. The case was adjourned to the 18th of November 2024 for a report, and Mr. Brutus has to return to court later to air the remainder of the charges. Well, we don't know if this later means before the 18th or between now and the 18th. Because remember, the 18th that they're talking about here is in relation to the charges that were read to him. So don't be surprised if he has to return before to answer to some of these other, the 210 they say that are pending. Then they say the liability of official provision under the Fiscal Management and Accountability Act has not apparently been used before. So the man get an X-Force. An X-Force, the most. Bank accounts, $800 million, the most, right? And he get a lot of 240 charges, the most. Now they're saying that this charge that relates to the liability of an official, the provision under the Fiscal Management and Accountability Act has never been used before. So the man going into the history books. I don't tell you what they tell you what we can deal with that on Wednesday. But there's one thing. It was also alleged to say that on the 16th of November 2023, the Ghana Police Force Headquarters, he instructed Woman Inspector Collins of the Police Consumers Co-op Society to prepare a check in his name for $20 million. The money was supposed to be used to purchase items for the Ghana Police Force, but were never used to purchase it, and instead it was allegedly deposited in Mr. Brutus's personal account. Then they go on to say, thirdly, it is alleged that, hey, I hope it's not you can write this, Listen to why I'm saying this. Listen carefully, student. This is what Stabrook News editorial says here today. He said, thirdly, it is alleged that on the 31st of June, it is alleged they're using the calendar of Ikin, because they wrote in today's editorial to say that thirdly, it is alleged that on the 31st of June at Ghana Police Force Headquarters, he instructed another police officer to hand in 221 payment vouchers, which he paid to his wife. That's what they're alleging. And they say another police officer. The thing says Bharat Prasad, the finance officer. Bharat Prasad, the finance officer. But I'm hoping that this is not June 31st, they got one in charge. This is what Stabrook News editorial says. But I'm hoping. But let me say this. I cannot understand for the life of me how this man can be alleged, they're alleging that he lick up the police consumers in the manner that he did. In one case, it says $60 million. And then this one says $20 million. The check must be written to him, right? The check must be written to him. And I get the details of the other one too. But you know why I'm saying that? There used to be, when I left the force, long, for I think since Larry Lewis time, even before, used to have a consumers meeting. A police co-op consumers meeting, I think it was every Thursday at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, sometimes every Thursday, where the manager of the police consumers, for most of the time I was in the senior position there, it used to be Neville Kodangan, now a deputy superintendent. It used to be the manager. You had to come with his secretary and the people for the commission, and they had to present financial statements so we can see the health of the police consumers, how it is going. Because the police consumers is members of the force, shareholders. They pay the money and they buy shares into the police consumers. And we used to have an oversight. We, the senior managers in the force, used to have an oversight of that police consumers. So if there is the oversight, how come this man can cause them to make out a check for $20 million in his name? And then in another instance, one of the other charges said he did something similar for $60 million for repairs and all of that, and the repairs were never done. $60 million, and you no oversight. But let me tell you what the problem is. Mr. Collins are coming after this. And these things can be checked, They're talking us. I think I'm referring it to people like Ropes and Ben and the vice president and all of them talking. Examine what is going on. That's what we say. You got to get a thorough investigation that SOCO cannot do. Right? Police, the same consumers co-op. During the time, Brutus came to headquarters at admin on the 16th of August 2020. Between then and when he get trouble, all the people them at the top, Kodogan, who was the manager, moved. The other inspector, the thing was De Silva or De Souza, something like that, they moved. They moved the people with knowledge and experience. And they're leaving the people who and get knowledge. Check the police finance office to see how many persons were removed from the head position. Mr. Conway had the figure there some time ago. He said 20-something people removed during that piece of time. Check the quartermaster stores to see all the persons who were removed in that period of time. Check the police construction section. Another place where a lot of money is diverted to. Check to see how the people removed. So it would appear that the scheme was to remove people who may have had the knowledge and who could tell you no. Who could say, well, look, this thing don't go so. And you put people who, some of them are very timid. As we can see, the police finance officer, Bharat Prasad, superintendent, very junior rank for the limited experience and all that. They might tell you to write, they claim here that he write a check for from the police welfare fund to him for 7 million and one for 6 million. 7. You know that wrong? You don't know that is wrong, right? And I tell them already, and I'm saying it again, that you cannot be compelled to carry out an unlawful order. And if the order is unlawful, you got to make a decision whether you're going to tell them very politely and respectfully, sorry, sir, but I can't do this, or whether you're going to do it and face criminal consequences. You know, when you look at what transpired there in a relatively short space of time, I am talking about this man came to headquarters in the admin position on the 16th of August, 2020. The government bring you there. They came into power on the 2nd. They brought him there on the 16th of August, 2020. And then the man, this scheme, as Mr. Conway pointed out, this diabolical criminal scheme cannot have been done by one man. Other people must be involved. And that is why I join all those who are saying this thing requires an international investigation, people with international experience. So notwithstanding the fact that they claim that they bring 220 charges against Brutus, this thing is far wider than that. The question is asked, what happened to the banks? There's a police officer whose salary is 400 and something thousand, 490 something, 400, what is it? Take $400 Guyana a month, like 2,500 US, call them 500,000 Guyana dollars a month. The man can say, look, he ain't spending money for how many years he pack up there. The man can withdraw from his salary account $60-something million for paper property. And you want to tell me this does not trigger a suspicious report earlier than now? They jump around now because we keep hammering it on this program. It's a failure of the entire system. And that is what has to be addressed, not the fact that Brutus licked up the system or alleged to be licking up the system and you're investigating Brutus. They told us too that this was triggered when Brutus deposited sometime in January $46.4 million. And the Financial Intelligence Unit reported to SOCU for them to conduct an investigation. Brutus said that the $46.4 million he deposited then was gifts before, during, and after his wedding, and gifts he get for Christmas, $46.4 million, right? Then Ikin, the acting commissioner, wrote a statement that sought to justify or try to say, well, yes, this is so. I understand they got other people. One man wrote to say he gave him 10,000 US as a gift. Some other body said they wrote and gave him $1 million as a gift. I am saying, when you look at the Ikin statement, it is clear that he was trying to cover for Brutus. Clear. The statement get more holes than wire mesh, than a strainer. And on the face of those statements, this investigation done. That is what they told us. For the $46.4 million. I am saying, did they contact all of these people? That if a man say give you $10,000, why would he give you $10,000 as a gift? Who is this man? What type of business he's in? All of these things ought to have been investigated. All of these things have to be investigated. And I am saying too, it is not too late. They got to go get to the bottom of this thing. Because this is a cancer. It has spread to a lot of places. And just cutting out Brutus is not going to be sufficient. I have said that based on Ikin's statement, he too should be charged of misconduct in public office for saying that he accepted $8.5 million from a businessman and he counted it in his office. That is misconduct in public office, and that might even be perversion of the course of justice. And you tell me you are an investigator, and then guilty share telling me this is this man who's doing so well. He's doing so well that they're going to make him commissioner. Make him commissioner. And instead of investigating and as they say, let the chips fall where it may, what are they afraid of? What are they afraid of? You get the police, I be saying that a lot. The PS Home Affairs is the accounting officer. PS Home Affairs is the accounting officer for the police force. You got the police people, the police finance. You got the Ministry of Finance. All of them sleeping at the wheel. Nobody see before now that something is going wrong. My God, this is mind-boggling. And we're saying Soku, because people in Soku named Carlington, has been hustling for involved with other unethical or unlawful arrangements. That is what they're saying. And all of these things need to be investigated. Let me bring in Mr. Conway. CC, your views on what has transpired so far, my brother.
Well, you are correct, Paul. They got to be more intensive investigation, and them created the monster. Is them created the monster? They allowed him to roam and to roam wild and to do all sort of things based on the allegations that we saw forthcoming. And he can too. If he can correct, I instituted a policy of motivating my officers through supporting them for special occasions such as weddings, birthdays, anniversary, and providing support from stakeholders, from a stakeholders approach, whatever stakeholder approach may mean, and who admitted, hey, he collected $8 point something million from one individual, a businessman, to pay for the wedding at the Pegasus. Huh? If that is, he can say, perhaps he can, and then I want to suspect he can write a statement, somebody write it maybe and tell you, hey, sign. I'm not going to come up in court very shortly where it will be disclosed that a certain person was given a statement. Somebody write the statement for the person, say sign, and after a couple of weeks the person signed the person thing there. That thing is that that what go on there, is that persons had to know, or they know that they were complicit or they were compromised. We got to stress the point. The Ministry of Home Affairs, the Ministry of Finance, people in the police force, what happened with the meetings, what happened with the checks and balances, and the others emerging. Proper, more in-depth investigation got to be done on the quartermaster store. Many things that didn't come to light took place. Many things come to light that didn't took place. They even had one recent with the present investigation where a certain female was prevented from leaving the country, and this had the approval of the Ministry of Home Affairs, where the Home Affairs was personally involved. A certain female prevented from leaving this country, who applied for leave, was prevented from leaving the country. And I mentioned it, and I'm going to repeat it, where financial irregularities taking place, where the members of the Special Constabulary, years ago we had Guystack, and after Guystack was dissolved, where members of the police force, we have what we call the special constables, and then we have the regular special, they call them the regular special, where persons who are working with the ministry and working with the corporation are being paid. Now, since the squatter took over, all of them are now special constables, full stop. So the government is paying the salaries of the special constables. And on the other hand now, we have the the corporation, the ministry, also paying the salaries of those persons, and understand they're fiddling with that money. They're fiddling. Things will start on a small scale and then became too large. For instance, right now in Borbis, and Borbis is special to me, where they had the over a week now, they had the conclusion of the Chamber of Commerce. They had an activity at Kanji there, where they talk about the fair. And police work there. Some police work there from 3 in the afternoon till after 1 in the morning. And even when they come off at 1 o'clock, they even get transportation. So the Chamber of Commerce paid in a sum of money to them for which called extra duty. And so far, not a person has been paid the extra duty funds. They are using the term, they're licking up the funds. Not a person has been paid the funds. And then understand, the top gunner there say that you all work for 4 days, 4 nights straight, but 1 night got to go back to the government. The government wasn't involved. It's the Chamber of Commerce. And why I work for 4 nights and then 1 night got to go back to the government? And I got people there who go and give seat time, who go and give face time. You know, you go to just take up your seat and after a while you go along your way. Or you go and show your face and you go along your way. And those persons are being paid. Whilst those who work from 3 in the afternoon till 1 in the morning are not being paid. Them and paying them. And they're saying that the one day got to go back to the government. The government isn't involved in that, and that's how they're licking up the money, and that's how the thing's starting with that there, and it becomes big. So they have already warnings, and they're not doing anything with it. Somebody need to investigate what is going on in Borbis with the financial irregularities. A lot of financial irregularities taking place in Borbis, and they get warnings and they do nothing. Perhaps they're waiting for another big thing blow up. So I'm saying that a lot of financial irregularities taking place, and I'm saying again that Suku cannot investigate it. It's too widespread. It's a cancer